Welcome to Between the Covers Summer Series, where we shine our spotlight on South Florida authors. I'm Ann Bocock, and joining me is award-winning author Raquel V. Reyes. The book is Dominoes, Danzón, and Death. This is the fourth installment in the Caribbean Kitchen Mystery Series with food anthropologist and cooking show star Miriam Quiñones-Smith. Miriam is a food anthropologist, which we've discussed before. Didn't even know that existed, but thank you for writing her. She's also the star of a cooking show called Abuela Approved. She also seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, or the right time if dead bodies are your things. So if you, Raquel, would give us a glimpse into this situation in the new book.
So, Dominoes, Danzón, and Death is a 3-year skip since the last book, which we get to get rid of all that nasty pandemic stuff.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
She's brought her parents to live with her. So she's living in a multi-generational house. So she's got little kids, she's got her parents, and then her and her husband. And we start off with a scene that they're in the backyard having breakfast, and she says, "It's been this many number of days since our last accident, but of course you know there's going to be an accident." The cat jumps up on the table, it makes a big mess, and that's how we start the show. And then we go on to her really feeling that she is ready to go back into teaching, because she came from an academic background. So she's like, oh, well, things have calmed down. My parents are here, they help with the kids. One of the kids is already in school. This is my time to shine. And then, well, we just get bones and bones and bones and bones.
Don't we? I love how you blend the mystery with the food, with the culture, and in this book, really with the history
of Miami.
How do you make that seamless, or is it a challenge?
You know, I will say that this book, this series, the Caribbean Kitchen Mystery Series, is a lot of research for me. I do a lot of research. But I also chose that because I really enjoy that. And I love South Florida. I love Miami history. You know, go to the Miami History Miami Museum. It's wonderful. And I actually got to go there to do a little research for this. So in the book, we have some bones that are discovered, and there's a question whether they are modern or whether if they are ancient. So we talk a lot about the Tequestas, the indigenous tribe that was here in Miami, and that we have all of these circles all through Miami and a little into Broward. And doing that research was important for me to, one, because I live in Miami and I walk around and see this all the time, and I say, why aren't we celebrating, why isn't this more known? But blending it in and making that part of the mystery, sure, that was a little bit of the challenge, but that's the fun part of writing. I mean, that's why we do this. That's what, you know, we like to use our mind to figure out how to make it work.
I think mysteries are the perfect vehicle for this, and I don't recall ever having this history of the Tequesta Indians in a book before, so thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was great fun.
The series is also sprinkled with Caribbean folklore and Spanglish. And does your own Cuban-American heritage influence the storytelling?
Well, of course. I mean, I'm not Miriam. Miriam is not me. But of course, there's little elements in there, you know. This one takes place, not everywhere, but a lot of the scenes take place on Calle Ocho. I remember going to Calle Ocho as a kid, and I love that, and I love the roosters running around, and I love the Domino Park, and I just love the vibrancy of it. So of course, you know, I bring those things into it.
Is there another challenge when you, for instance, you're navigating cultural authenticity, but you're also writing for a wider audience? You think about that?
Of course. You know, it's whether, you know, if I put a Spanish phrase in there, am I going to have it be in context, the translation in context, or am I going to translate it directly? So, there's all those questions. But after I've done this for so long, and it's really how I write, and it's actually how I think living in a bilingual household and bilingual workspace and so forth, it is a little bit natural. It was, I also put a little Haitian Creole in there just because, Little Haiti is such a big part of the Miami scene, and so you want to make it real and authentic, and you don't want to put too much explanation in there because the reader gets bored with that. So it is a delicate balance, and I am thinking about it. And I've had readers come back to me and says, "Oh, I haven't used my Spanish since I was in high school, but I was easily able to, understand all this." Or I loved, getting into, people always tell me, says, "Oh, I used to live such and such a place, and, I loved the culture, and I'm so glad to get to revisit it." So.
Do your Latino readers, do they influence your work? Are they excited for the next book?
Well, they love that there's a character who has a name like Quiñones with a little ñ over that. Just that alone is just a really wonderful thing to help feel seen and help feel connected and so forth. Yeah.
Raquel, what does it mean to you, not only to be an award-winning author, to be nominated by your peers in the cozy mystery genre?
I was just recently nominated. One of my books was just nominated, and I was completely blown away. I wasn't expecting it, and it's lovely. And because we work so hard at this, for me it takes me a whole year to write a book, and then sometimes you wait a whole year for it to be published, and so it's a long process. And you're writing alone, so when you get that little bit of feedback, it makes your day, it makes your year.
Especially by your peers.
Oh, completely.
This one is book 4 in the series. So is there more pressure or less pressure when you get to this stage?
We always want a book to stand alone, like in a series, when you're writing a series, because somebody might not pick it up at book 1, they might pick it up at book 2, right? So, making sure that book can stand on its own, but then also for our readers who have been with me since the beginning, we want to give them all those little gems and treasures. Like, everyone was so happy that Miriam's parents came to live with them. So, I had to make sure that I put a couple of little scenes in there so that they got the spotlight on them.
They are standalones, but I do like the progression.
Yeah.
That I see how she has grown.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Your books make me hungry. And if this was a cooking show instead of just a talk show, what dish would Miriam be demoing for us?
Ooh, well, I have to say it's mango season. So hopefully, and she's got a mango tree planted in her backyard, and her neighbor next door has an avocado tree. So I imagine she would be doing something with those.
I think, personally, that the intersection of cuisine and culture is the most wonderful way to connect. And we find out that we are more alike than we are different. I think we could solve world issues by just sitting at the table.
I agree, absolutely. And I think Miriam would agree too.
I do too.
Yes.
This book was such a good read. The book is Dominoes, Danzón, and Death. Raquel Reyes, thank you so, so much. What a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm Ann Bocock. Please join me on the next Between the Covers.